What's going on, guys? Rockley AC here, bringing you guys a very special video. Today I'll be talking about my Android 17 aggro deck that I took to the Win-A-Box event that I went to over the weekend, held at Mindsight Gaming down in Kenosha, Wisconsin. It was a pretty dope event. Had only 8 players, but still, nonetheless, I managed to split first place with Tony Ortiz. He was running Red Frieza Swap. I'll actually put his deck profile and channel in the link below. But yeah, me and him had the same record, and then he had to leave a little bit early because of work, and a lot of other people, dipped out too. But I actually managed to play Android 17 without the Cell chain, without the Super 17 chain. I know a lot of people out there are like, oh my god, Cell is limited to 1, what am I going to do? RIP Cell. Maybe, but what I like about this ban list and limited list that Bandai constructed was exactly what they wanted to promote, which was deck diversity and pushing people to try different things. And that's exactly what I did, and what I wanted to do, and what I actually do with other decks. I like to take different decks, put a little twist behind it, and kind of just use them for different reasons. Obviously there's synergy with Cell Chain and whatnot with Androids, but I think because of this ban list, it really promotes a healthy deck building mentality, especially when you're trying to overcome certain decks. Like, because Storm got hit, I don't think Hrudegarn will necessarily be gone. I still think people will build him in different versions, such as like Red-Blue. He won't be as explosive as early turns, but I mean, he's still one of the best. He still has one of the best draw engines in the game. His name card is also amazing. So I mean, he could be built in a more control-y kind of a deck. But yeah, it just shows that Bandai is really listening to the player base. And I know people are complaining about Gogeta, but I simply think that's because Cell Chain has been around for about a year now, and every set people complain about it. And in order to be hit on the list, you need to have results. You need to have results, and you need to have people complaining about it. And I do think Gogeta will hit the list one day, but at the moment it hasn't won anything tremendous. And especially in terms of like event after event after event, the results are not as consistent. And a lot of people are playing around Shenron right now. And with the latest results from ARG, Ryan Severin took it with Jenna Mamil, and even second place too as well. So I mean, the game state's going to be very wide, and I think a lot of people are complaining about Gogeta. It is an unfair card, but I don't think it should be hit just yet. And I think Bandai really put a lot of thought into the list, and more importantly, we should give them benefit of the doubt, because androids have been around, but there's got to be a reason why they limited Cell to 1. So there are cards that we haven't seen, and we can't judge so quickly. But anyways, quick rant over. I wanted to build Android 17, and actually, a lot of the cards in here are were already available. It's just that because of the Cell Chain and stuff like that, it was just overshadowed by a lot of these really cool effects. But yeah, this is the first version of it. I'm definitely modifying it. I did change a couple cards out of here after the event, but I'm just gonna go ahead and give you guys a deck profile and rundown. So I ran Android 17. First round I went against Pan. 2-0 that one. Second round I went against a mirror match, Android 17, but he was playing Cell Chain and Super 17. That was extremely tough because I wasn't such a hand discard deck, sort of say. It was a lot more aggressive. So put my resources towards attacking rather than like discarding cards. And that was tough because I had to keep up with my hand size too as well. So that one I went 2-1, and then towards the end, me and Tony had the exact same record. So yeah. So anyways, let's go ahead with the deck profile. Onto the defense cards. I ran 4 Shocking Deathfall. I mean, Storm and whatnot's still legal for the next couple weeks or so. Shocking Deathball is amazing. Kill I think 2 or less. It also helped me drop down to 4 life, with Android Leader. And then Preemptive Strike. This card is amazing. Like, this card is crazy good. It works really well against like combo decks that want to either evolve or get the certain pieces. Like with Preemptive Strike, if your leader card is green, and the battle card your opponent is playing has an energy cost of 4 or less, it is placed in the owner's drop area instead of being played. So this card has gotten a lot of questions. I mean, there's a counter timing, which is right when your opponent declares to play a battle card. You have the opportunity window to respond with Preemptive Strike. So they don't get their autos, they don't get any of their effects because they weren't hit on the field to begin with. They were never played, so they were played instead. So against a pan matchup, it was a GT version. So my buddy Kyle tried to hardcast like 3-cost Goku so that he could evolve later on, but I Preemptive Striked him in both games. And that's crucial because in red, tapping out, really leaves you open, and I was able to capitalize from there. And then against Cell Chain, just being able to deny him that 3-drop cell was super crucial. But yeah, it's just so good. I think this card is very, very strong, and it just sucks that it's such a high-cost card, but I could understand because of the effect. But it's very good. If you know what your opponent's playing and they need a certain key piece, Preemptive Strike is amazing. So study up on what your matches are and know exactly what they're going to drop so that you could Preemptive Strike them. Next, Stout-Hearted Android 16 for the super combo. I mean, just being able to drop cards that my opponent has is so powerful, especially if you're creating your opponent, putting a lot of pressure on them. It's just so good. I ran 3 Infernal Villainy Cell. I ran 4 originally, but I just felt like it was too much because of the high cost that you're paying in this deck. You are tapping out for a good amount because of certain cards, but he's always there for that backup or early game rush. Furthering the Structure Champa for that double strike. I do run some crit cards and Mira, so being able to catch people off guard with those heavy attacks, especially against Shenron, you want to be a super aggro. If you're playing this against a Shenron deck, you want to be able to open up with like crit and Champa, so it's very good. King Vegeta Surprise Attack. I had it at 2. It never really performed well for me, even though I had like the Deadly Defenders out. But, it's there for that nice backup. It catches people off guard, and it's very useful for, multiple cards. Onto the battle cards, I ran 4 Newfound Power Son Gohan. I always like this card. It's a crit, self-awaken. All you need is, 6 life in order to awaken. So you're either going to do that with either Newfound Son Gohan or naturally being attacked by your opponent. So that's very good. Puts a lot of pressure. 2 Crisis Crusher Son Gokus. I mean, this is, again, against Rush, against any deck that, wants to attack you right away. This is more like a mid-range deck, so you don't want to, it's okay if you don't have like a Gohan to swing in the beginning. It's more important to defend yourself and defend your life so that you don't go down too low. Next is Chile from the new set, one of the featured rares. This card is something that I just wanted to test out, be a little spicy. Didn't really work as much. I think this card is better in other decks, other leaders. But once per turn, when one of your opponent's battle cards is KO'd, your opponent chooses 1 card in their hand and places it in the drop area. This is pretty much just to help with the theme of, hand discard. Because I don't run Cell Chain, because I don't run like Super 17 engine, this helps a lot because my strong attacking androids who get the boost, they are more likely to KO one of my opponent's battle cards. But also when one of your opponent's battle cards is KO'd, this is also good against like Frieza Swap. If they KO their own card, then they're gonna have to choose a card from their hand and place it in drop area. So a lot of spicy stuff. This is really there for that reason. 1 cost green, pretty good. Then, of course, I run the 4 Deadly Defender Android 18. She's busted in this deck on attacking when you're awakened, and when you're at 4 life, you swing for 25k. Otherwise, she's a 20k attacker. She gets minus 5k on your opponent's turn, so she becomes either like a 15k or 20k, depending on your leader. But she's just so good with barrier and just defending her. She's the best Deadly Defender in complements with their leader. Next, I ran 2 Dreadful 17s and 1 Chilling Terror 17. I didn't run the Chilling Terror Android 17 in my original build. But it's there because there's a lot of leaders that people are playing like old school style, like set 1, set 2 that awaken and draw 2. So it's just there for like a little bit of spice. But I mostly use Dreadful 17 for that crit pressure. And again, all your androids get -1 entrance cost, so it's very strong. And I would use it for that purpose. Next is Hyper Speed Son Goku. Now this is one of the new cards from the new set. I was struggling to see what other awakening cards I could use. I wasn't sure if I wanted Tien, although Tien's good because it provides potential board kill, but I just like how much pressure that this card does. When you play this card, you may choose up to 2 cards from your life and then add them to your hand. If you choose to add 1 or more cards to your hand, this card gains 15k and critical for the duration of the turn. So because of this deck likes to attack and apply a lot of pressure, you have Gohan, you have 17, you have other crit cards. 30k crit is no joke, and if your opponent can't defend that, then that's just a lot of nice pressure. It's a good card to self-awaken. It is a heavy cost though, so I'm still up in the airs of whether or not if I like this card or not, but I do definitely like the power that it brings to this kind of deck, which is needed. Next is 2 Ready Strike Piccolo. This has always been one of my favorite cards. It's very memey. It just really catches people off guard if they don't have a removal, and especially good nowadays because not too many people run spot removal. There's a lot of like effect text negation or like 1-drop kills, and you won't see a lot of overwhelm like Mass Saiyan or Dimension Fu as much as he did in the past formats. So this card really catches people off guard, especially like Shenron decks. If you drop this on turn 3 and then they can't answer that, they're gonna have to drop their hand to 6 at the end of the turn. And he's also a blocker, so depending on the match that I'm going against, if I know they don't have a lot of removal, like I wouldn't play against like Frieza Swap because they have the Zarbon that could get -15k, or like Baby Vegeta, you know, that could neg him. But things like that, you know, depending on the right matchup, you know, mostly like against Shenron, who doesn't usually have a lot of board clear, I would drop this. So it's very fancy, very fun, one of my favorite cards of the game. And then Limitless Android 17. Barrier blocker, so good. Just gets +5k on the defense when you're at 4 life. Pops a card, one of my few spot removals. Amazing. 2 Super 17. This card helped out tremendously in games that I wanted to close out because your opponent can't negate. Depending on how much I drop my opponent's hand size or crit them or whatever, then I would also drop 2 of my cards so that they could discard 2 of their cards. Very powerful. I use it depending on the game state, of course. And then a spice, I ran the Towa and Mira engine. This basically is crazy. It's crazy. It catches people off guard, and it's a great tool to use for going all in. So Towa, you search the top 7 for a Mira. So you grab either one of these 2 cards, and then you want to make sure she's in your discard pile or drop zone so that you could overwhelm and combo. Then you bring out Dark Absorption Mira, overwhelm for 3, and Union Absorb for 4. So basically the combo is, usually I like to drop this either on turn 4 or turn 5, depending on the situation. If I feel like I could go all in, my opponent's down to 2 life, then I will definitely use this on turn 4. Because you're going to be getting out this Mira. So Dark Absorption Mira says, Union Absorb for 4. Place 1 Towa from your warp under this card. If your leader is an android or Towa, choose 1 Mira with an energy cost of 7 in your hand, or warp, and play it on top of this card in active mode. So that's crazy. So you get the Towa early, either you combo with it, make sure she's in the drop area, overwhelm, so she's in the warp, place Towa underneath, and then drop this from either your warp or your hand on top of it, and he gets the union effect. So he has deflect, so your opponent can't cold bloodless this, but they can cold bloodless Mira, Dark Absorption. But yeah, so you're playing this with the Union. So when you play this card using Union, your opponent chooses 3 cards from their hand and sends them to the warp, and this card gains double strike for the duration of the turn. So that card, that effect alone, caught everybody off guard because they didn't really have a response to it. Especially in this age, you didn't really have too many counters for this Union effect, like Evolve and Union and Pretora and stuff. So you could get away with this pretty easily. And then of course his bottom effect, when this card attacks, this card gains plus 5k power for each card in your warp. Very game breaking. That's just super powerful. I don't get super high with this deck because you're not really comboing a lot of cards in your drop zone. So you could get like an extra 30k or something on average if you're swinging, but he stays on the board because you're playing on Union. You never use them with Overwhelm. But even if I didn't have that package to drop and Union, I still have Double Strike Champas, and you could just Overwhelm Mira for a game. So yeah. Anyways, that is my aggro version of Android 17. Basically, this was, you know, a video to help others kind of bridge the gap and help them, you know, kind of brainstorm ideas of different decks. You know, a lot of people are complaining about the cell chain list, but, you know, Android 17, even without the cell chain aggro, I think is very strong. I think people could build upon this deck, definitely make it better for sure. And again, certain matchups, when your opponent's not ready for like a rush deck like this, then they could definitely be caught off guard. So, you know, it could play the rush game, it could play the stall game with 18 and 17 blocker, and it could do hand destruction and crit. So I think overall it's a great deck. It could definitely be worked on. You know, you could swap out some of these Chile, Hyperspeed Son Goku, like some of these cards you don't even need. These are more just like personal preference. So these, you know, you could easily take out like 10 cards from this and kind of make it your own. So I'd be really interested to see what you guys come up with. This deck is awesome. I had a lot of fun with it. And I split the box of Clash of Fates. Sadly, Tony pulled like one SR, and I actually got all 4 featured rares on the other side and like an SPR. So felt bad for him, but you know, he picked it out first, so all good. Alright guys, well, thank you again for viewing my deck profile. Hope you guys like it. Like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll catch y'all guys next time. Peace out.